A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks to you all teachers that spend your time this afternoon with us. On behalf of Mentari Group and ASTA Ilmu Sukses, I'd like to extend my biggest gratitude to all of you to spend your time this afternoon to attend, the education going digital webinar series. We all talk about the new normal, talk about the distance learning program. In fact, the distance learning classes had been started since March this year, following the outbreak of COVID-19 in Indonesia. So I believe that many of the schools, including the kindergartens, were expected, to continue the learning from home. And in fact, in the last 3 months, we have been discussing with a number of teachers, educators, looking for solutions and ways to effectively deliver the distance learning program to the students while they continue to study from home. And today, we are very happy that you all can join us with this webinar series. And I also like to thank, the speaker, Mr. Jon Edwards, speaking from South Korea. I think thanks to the technology that somebody living in South Korea, could help us to deliver the session in Indonesia without having to travel all the way down to Jakarta, for example, something that we probably couldn't even imagine that we're going to do this, unless, we are forced to do this because of the COVID-19 outbreak. So this is the first series that we organized to support the teachers in Indonesia, especially to anticipate, the continuation of distance learning program in the new academic year. From the Ministry of Education's instruction, it looks like that majority of the schools, I think 96% of the schools located in the red zone or orange zone or yellow zone are expected to continue, the study at home. It means the schools are not allowed to open the schools, and that's going to be even more vulnerable, to the learners at the pre-primary level, at the kindergartens. So we do hope, that the session this afternoon going to open up the new horizons perspectives for the kindergarten teachers on how to set up an effective, interactive English teaching program to the pre-primary learners. It's special for us because usually we focus on doing the sessions for the primary or secondary teachers. But for this afternoon, we try to focus on sharing the session to the pre-primary teachers, kindergarten teachers. And based on the registration system that we are very happy to let you know that we have almost 500 participants from all over Indonesia registering for the webinar session this afternoon. So once again, I really like to thank you all for spending your afternoon with us today. Hopefully, you gain new perspectives, you have, you learn something, the new strategies for you to help deliver your effective distance learning program for your pre-primary learners. So thank you very much. And now, I'm handing over back to the MC, Ms. Ocha.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tri, for the opening remarks. Well, educators, I would like to add some information about this webinar. So all the participants will get the e-certificate, and the information about the distribution of the certificate will be delivered at the end of the session. And also, you can rewatch this session in our YouTube account, and the link will be delivered to our WhatsApp group. Jadi Bapak Ibu, hari ini, peserta hari ini akan mendapatkan e-sertifikat yang nanti informasi lengkapnya akan saya sampaikan di akhir sesi. Juga Bapak Ibu bisa menonton kembali sesi ini melalui YouTube ini, yang nanti linknya juga akan dibagikan di grup WhatsApp. Please welcome Mr. Jonathan Edwards.
Everyone, I'm very happy to be here, and on behalf of Compass Publishing, I'd like to welcome you to the seminar. I hope you find it very rewarding and useful. And I hope you have some good takeaways from it, and you can use something in your classroom, or if you're a program leader or a program administrator, I hope you have something to help you to do your job better. So without further ado, let's begin the presentation. Just a moment. There we go. Everybody can see the presentation okay? Okay, perfect. So let me try to welcome you in Bahasa. I'll try. Forgive me for my bad pronunciation. Selamat siang, Abak dan Ibu Guru. Is it okay?
That's great, Mr. Jon. Thank you.
So I'm going to, just a moment. I'm going to talk about our company introduction, and then I'm going to go through a little bit about online learning for KG, and I'll talk a little bit about our situation in Korea and how our government dealt with the situation, the COVID situation. And then we'll talk about some digital solutions, and we'll go through we have several different solutions that we'll talk about and profile. And we'll have a Q&A session in the middle of the presentation and also at the end of the presentation. I'm also going to be talking about our Treehouse coursebook. Just let me get my screen organized here. Mike, how can I turn off the, it's okay. So our company, Compass Publishing, is based in South Korea, as Mr. Tuturi mentioned. We were founded in 1999, so we've been in business for a little bit over 20 years, and we started with a very small catalog of ELT print publications, and we have been adding to that over the years, over the 20 years. So now we have a very extensive catalog of products from kindergarten all the way up to adult. And that includes course books and skill books. We have several series of readers. We have about 500 readers that we have available. We also do test prep for TOEIC and TOEFL, and ESP books for hospitality and business English. And we sell products all around the world. We sell them to about 40 countries in every part of the world. And these days, for about the last 5 years, we've been transitioning from pure print products to edutech products. So we started with offering digital products that blend with our print products. So they support our print products. So they're more like a blended solution. And then we expanded to more pure digital solutions more recently. So over the last about 3 years, we've been doing that. So I'll talk a little bit about our situation in Korea with COVID-19. Maybe if some of you were following the news at the beginning of the year, you heard that after the Wuhan epidemic, we were the first country, one of the first countries that was affected outside of China, so pretty early. Our first case happened in January, middle of January, and then there was a very rapid outbreak. It spread very quickly, and it peaked with about 600 to 800 new cases daily near the end of February. So very rapid acceleration of the outbreak. Luckily, the good thing about Korea was that our government acted very quickly. Unlike some other countries, the government implemented public awareness, very widespread public awareness campaigns. We did a lot of testing and distributed masks, these kinds of things. So it was very rapid response, which a lot of countries around the world are praising these days as being the main reason why Korea recovered so quickly. So the result was that the number of daily cases reduced to about less than 100 by mid-March. We rapidly reduced it. So it's been fairly steady since then. As you can see in the chart at the bottom, there's been a slight uptick in the number of daily cases, but it's been fairly stable. In terms of the Korean Ministry of Education, the response, they also responded very quickly. After that initial spike in February, everybody thought, you know, this is going to be a really serious situation, so we have to make a rapid response. So they, right away, the first thing they did was they postponed the start of the school year. They did this several times. The initial postponement was just 1 week, which obviously wasn't enough. So they postponed it eventually all the way back to April 9th. The other thing they did was they organized a task force. The government organized a task force to rapidly implement online education programs for all levels, from KG all the way up to the university level. Luckily, our university programs, most of them were already operating with online education, so they were able to implement that very early. But a lot of the public school system and the kindergarten system, they had nothing in place. So the government had to put together this task force to help them implement that quickly. So right away, they were able to start the university online program, and they implemented sort of over several weeks, they gradually phased in online education for all levels, from KG all the way up to university. That was followed shortly thereafter by the schools reopening, and that also was phased in. I think the reason they phased it in slowly was because the task force had to go around and help different schools and different school boards. And to do you know, a widespread implementation right at the beginning would have been overwhelming for the task force. So I think that's why they phased it. But even after they opened the schools, there was very strict social distancing measures. Both of my kids are in school, and they tell me, my son is in elementary school, grade 6. He goes to school just 1 day a week, and the rest of the time he's doing online education. And my daughter is going to university, and she's doing all online education. So the Ministry of Education basically left it up to the school board to decide the ratio, how to implement the ratio of online to offline classes. And it depends on the type of, in university, it depends on the type of program, and basically every school and school board is doing it differently, a little bit differently. When we think about online education, we have to think of it as a new paradigm. We're entering a new paradigm. I'm sure many of you, when you went through teacher education, when you decided to become teachers, being an online teacher was not what you anticipated. You didn't anticipate this kind of situation, and we're being sort of forced into this situation. And we have to think of it like, you know, we're trying to find a fit for a completely new paradigm. So there's a very common inaccurate bias against online education. That is that it's not sort of serious education, or it's not effective. It's not very effective. That's been very widespread. I don't know if any of you have ever taken online classes like in Coursera or Udemy or this edX, this kind of online education for continuing education. But these days, actually, online education is very sophisticated and very effective. It's just different from traditional education. The problem we're facing now is that we're dealing with this, you know, this situation has been kind of thrust upon us. And we're suddenly in this situation, and we have to rapidly deal with it. So the kind of implementations that we're seeing with a lot of school boards and a lot of government Ministry of Educations is a kind of emergency online education. They're doing it very rapidly without a lot of, you know, a lot of careful thought. They just don't have time. That's the problem. So I think, you know, from some of the programs I've seen my son's program, for example, and the way they're sort of thinking about it is taking traditional education and just having a new interface, having this kind of digital interface between the student and the teacher. And they're doing the same kind of planning, the same kind of methods and materials. They're using the same kind of materials, and they have the same curriculum and the same pacing. They're expecting the pacing of the classes to be the same. So if this is the implementation that we are seeing, of course, you know, this is going to fulfill the prophecy. This is going to fulfill that bias that a lot of people have, that it's not effective. So I think what we need is very careful consideration about how we plan our classes. And so that's one of the things I wanted to talk about with you today. I mean, let's think about how they are different, right? So the traditional learning environment has relatively large class sizes. Typically, I don't know about the class sizes in kindergartens in Indonesia, but typically we see, you know, 25, 30, 35 students in a class, in a kindergarten class in Korea. And they're all grouped together in the same space and time. So all the students can be, you know, in the same space and interact with each other and make friends, have social interaction. And, you know, we have, with this social interaction, there's a lot of learning that students do from each other and with each other. And they're also learning social skills as well. The other benefit of having a physical environment to work in, to learn in, is that the teacher can monitor, very carefully monitor the learning. They can overhear conversations, they can look over the shoulder of students, they can do all this very careful monitoring, and you can't do that with online education as effectively. The other benefit of that is that we have immediate and direct teacher guidance. If the students have a problem, or the teacher notices a problem that the students have, they can immediately address it. So, you know, this is another thing that is kind of a little bit lacking in online education. So we have to be aware of that and compensate for it as teachers. Another thing that we need to be careful about, or think about carefully, is that there's a dedicated space for traditional education. A lot of students are doing online education in their living room. So this creates some kind of psychological framework there's some psychological framework for learning when you go to the school physically and you enter the classroom and you're kind of preparing yourself mentally to learn. Whereas in online education, that is not possible. So we have to address that as well. There are some things that we can think about in terms of options for our, just a minute, I think I can erase this. Sorry about that. There are some options that we can think of in terms of our, what is possible in terms of online learning. So we can think about the modality of learning. Are we going to be doing pure online learning, or are we going to be doing blended learning that's partially in the classroom, partially online? So some of that is dictated for you by your school, by your Board of Education, or by your Ministry of Education. But as much as possible, you know, maybe some thought can be given to that in terms of how it's weighted. Obviously, with kindergarten students, we want to have at least some traditional learning if it's possible. If the schools have opened up, as soon as that becomes a possibility, we want to try to maximize that. I think for young learners, very young learners, it's a difficult adjustment to go to online. Online learning is a difficult adjustment. Second consideration we can think of is in terms of the pacing. Is it going to be self-paced? The students study at their own pace. They can initiate learning modules when they want to, or is it going to be class-paced? Is it going to have a set fixed curriculum? You can also do combinations of that. You can have elements of the learning that are self-paced and elements that are class-paced. Student-teacher ratio is another consideration that you have to think about very carefully. I think for younger learners, for the class, you can have sort of two student-teacher ratios. You can have one for the overall class. That's where you are assigning homework, giving assignments to students and having them turn it in. And you can have a separate student-teacher ratio for the real-time interactive type class interactions. I think for real-time interactions, for very young learners, you want to probably have as low a number as is feasible. So ideally 1 to 4, maximum I would say 1 to 8. And if you need to split the class up into sessions or segments, in order to do that, you may have to do that. Another thing to think about is the pedagogy. So is it going to be expository with the teacher explaining everything? Is it going to be practical with students doing things to learn? Is it going to be exploratory with students answering questions in order to find the answers? Or is it going to be collaborative with students working together? I think for very young learners, probably mostly expository is the best, but you can also include some worksheets, some watching videos, watching media in order to have more sort of exploratory or collaborative type work. It's not impossible, it just requires more creativity from the teacher. In terms of the instructor role, this is another option. A lot of university classes have very limited or minimal interaction with the instructor. The material is all there and the students just go through it on their own. But for very young learners, I think the instructor role needs to be more active. They need to be more directly leading the learning. In terms of the student role also, something that we can consider for online education is whether the students are going to be independent, whether they're going to be working independently, or whether they're going to be working collaboratively with other students. I think for very young learners, it's not impossible to do collaborative learning. You can pair them up as long as they have parental support. They have support from their parents. You can pair them up to do work together. But mainly, it's going to be independent work. Another consideration is the communication synchrony. This is a little bit complicated word, but basically it just means, are they going to be communicating in real time using, for example, real-time video communication like we're doing right now? Or are they going to be communicating asynchronously, not in real time, with the students responding to emails or responding to audio messages, but not in real time? Or are they going to be doing a mix of the two? I've seen, with very young learners, I've seen situations where they use a mix of the two. They have, for example, the teacher can send audio messages to the students via the parents to give them feedback or to give them instructions for assignments. So this is the kind of asynchronous communication I'm talking about. We also have to think about how the assessments are going to be used in online education. So they could be used to adapt the instruction. That means when you collect, if you're on an LMS, if you collect the feedback on the assessments, you can see what the students are struggling with, what they need review with, and that can inform your instruction. So this is the kind of informative role that assessment can play. Assessments can also be used like the traditional way they are used to gauge whether students are prepared or ready to progress to the next level. And the last option that we have available as teachers or administrators when we're planning online education is what kind of feedback we're going to be using. A lot of systems, especially for higher levels, high school and university, they use automated grading. They have quizzes that are automatically graded. Or you could have peer peer grading. So in elementary school and above, I think you can do peer grading where students are evaluating each other. And you can also include traditional teacher evaluation as well. So these 9 considerations, these 9 options we have available to us when we're planning online education. And I think there are special considerations that we have to keep in mind for kindergarten education, especially. So we have modality. Is it going to be online or blended? We have pacing, how fast we're going to go through the material, and is that going to be controlled by the student or set by the class? We have the student-teacher ratio we want to control. We have the type of pedagogy that we're going to use. We have the role of the instructor, the role of the student, the kind of communication we're going to be using, and how the assessments are going to be used, and the type of feedback that we're going to be giving. So the Korean Ministry of Education sent out some guidelines when they started their online education program. And these were for all the levels, actually. But they divided the class types into 3 types. And I think this is a very simple model. As you saw on the previous slide, all of the considerations that we have to keep in mind for planning online learning for Korean kindergarten or very young learners, it's very overwhelming. It's overwhelming to think about all those different factors. So a very easy and simple sort of framework is to just divide the class types into 3 types. One is content-oriented class. That's where the students are mainly watching or consuming some kind of content. So it could be lecture type, where students watch some recorded lecture or other kind of content like a video, YouTube video, or maybe they read a book, they read an ebook, a playbook. And that has been assigned by the teacher, and then they come to class having watched that. So a kind of flipped learning type situation. The other type is lecture activity type, where the content is watched kind of collectively. So the class watches the content together. So you could do that by doing some screen sharing, for example, with your class. Everybody watches the video together, and then the class talks about the video afterwards. So I think this kind of model could be very effective for very young learners. Watch the video and then talk with them about the video. So this is the content-oriented class. That's usually the first class that in the sort of the sequence. The second type of class is the real-time interactive class. So this is where the student and the teachers are using a remote learning platform with synchronous or immediate or instantaneous communication between the teacher and the student. And so that could be for more sort of expository pedagogy, so when the teacher is talking and giving instruction, or it could be for more interactive learning, where students have an opportunity to interact with each other, to ask questions, to answer questions. So this is, I think, real-time interactive class. If you're using more of a flipped learning model, this could be where you do concept checking. This is where you check whether they have understood the content. So that's the second stage in the cycle. The third stage would be the task-oriented class. This doesn't necessarily have to be done online. If you can send materials to your students, either by email to their parents so they can print it out, or maybe you have an opportunity to send packets. The Korean government sent out packets of workbooks and photocopies to the students. So either option, you can assign work for them to do. And I think for very young learners, the best option is for them to do at least some, if not all, of the material on actual physical paper. I think the reason for that is, you know, we are very busy planning online learning, but one thing that we forget is that students need to develop their fine motor skills, their hand-eye coordination and their fine motor skills. So giving them opportunities to do coloring on a worksheet, to do printing, to do tracing, this kind of activity with an actual pen is very important for their future learning. So I would say at least some of the task-oriented classes should be done on a physical paper. That can be easily photographed by the parents and emailed in if you are worried about how to collect it. Okay, so we have those three class types: content-oriented class, where they're consuming content or consuming it and talking about it. That's the preparation stage for a real-time interactive class where they're having some concept checking and interaction with the teacher. And then task-oriented class where you give them some assignments and give them some, again, it's kind of concept checking, but it's more evaluative. A few tips for kindergarten learning. So parent support is very important for very young learners. As I mentioned before, you should do some paper-based assignments. Small number of learning objectives per class. So this is kind of related to the pacing of the courses. You should slow down the pacing and lots of repetition in the different class types. So you should go through the same kind of material in several different types of classes and several modalities so that you're appealing to your, different kinds of learning styles. The student-teacher ratio should be as low as possible. 8:1 is kind of the max that you should shoot for. And split the classes if you need to, split up the classes. And the teacher role should be very active, but use different class types to balance the workload. Let's talk a little bit about the digital learning solutions from Compass Publishing. In our domestic market, in the Korean market, we've been using, we've been developing a blended solution. So we have online teaching platform, which is called Santa Class. We have paper books and ebooks that we provide through Compass Publishing. And then we have our individual online learning app for students, which is called Big Box. And those kind of all combine together to create our learning solutions. So that can be used for online teaching. So the teachers can use the ebooks, and they can provide offline learning opportunities for the students through Big Box. So I'll talk a little bit about what ClassBox is. ClassBox is the international version of Santa Class. So ClassBox is just a very easy to use teaching platform for ELT. And it can be used for in the classroom, or it can be used also for remote teaching. It has 4 components, so digital books, programs, it has an LMS, and it has seminars. So there's, in the digital books library, we have this library of digital books, and there's 100 course books from kindergarten to adult level, and you have access to over 1,000 digital streaming textbooks in our library. So lots and lots of resources, and all of those can be searched through CEFR level, or you can search them by the skill or by the level, by the grade level. And they include embedded media and answer keys and annotation tools as well. So you can use them like an interactive whiteboard. And there's access to lots and lots of downloadable resources as well. So each ebook has its own downloadable resources like worksheets, assessments, word lists, flashcards, and those can be all downloaded directly from the library. So it's really, it can be used for online and offline content to deliver both of those together. So it has lots of markup tools. I'm going to show you those a little bit later, so we don't have to spend a lot of time on this slide. And you can download all of the material. So if you click over on the left-hand side, you can download all of the material for one coursebook directly from one location. The LMS allows you to manage classes, assign homework, and view reports on the homework, so you can see how the students have done on their homework. It's integrated with our learning app, so all students have to do, teachers share the class code. You're going to get a class code from the LMS, and you share that with your students, and they enter that in their big box learning app, and it links the two of them. So that after you have created a class, you can have all of your students in that class, and you can assign homework to them through big box, and you can see reports. So this allows you to track participation and performance. So this is a little bit about the where you can assign homework, and this is what they're going to get in their app. They're going to get a notification. It gives them like a little notification quest that they have to do. And after they do their homework, you're going to see a report like this. So you're going to see how long they spent on each task, and you're going to see the number, the grade of each task as well. The third part of this platform is the program section. That gives you recommendations from our catalog. So I told you we have lots and lots of content. We have over 100 courses, over 1,000 ebooks. So it's going to give you recommendations. So if you're using one ebook, it's going to give you skill books that you can use alongside that. So if you wanted to teach additional grammar or additional vocabulary, you can do that with these recommendations. And again, we have content for kindergarten all the way through to adult. So it's going to give you, for example, if I'm using Hangout level 2, it's going to give me recommendations for writing, for reading, or if my students need extra work on grammar or vocabulary, it's going to give me other materials that I can use to boost their skills. There's also a section where you can see professional development content and teacher training content. So we have regular live events, and we also have pre-recorded events that you can watch. So if you want to brush up on your teaching skills, you want to learn something new that you can try out in the classroom, this is the place to do that. How are we doing for time? 4 o'clock, okay. So this is an easy way for you to use ebooks and all kinds of resources for online teaching, because it pairs very easily. All you have to do is share your screen, and you can use all this material through Zoom or Google Meet or any kind of platform that you're using. I just wanted to show you very quickly a little video summary of the class box. So once you log in, there's the 4 different sections that I talked about. So if you click on digital book, you can see there's all of the content is listed available to you, and you can search it. For example, you can search through course books or through phonics and songs. So if I select Treehouse, for example, this is the interface. I can leave notes right on the book. So if I have an important note that I want to enter and something that I want to remember, like a teacher's note, I can enter that. And that just stays down on the screen. You can also mark up. There's also all kinds of markup tools like pens, highlighters. So if you want to play games with your students, you can highlight things, you can get them to circle things. All the audio is embedded as well. You can also, I just wanted to show you that, you can also embed links as well. So if you have some additional material that you want to embed within the ebook, you can put the link right in the ebook, and then it's going to appear on the screen, and you can trigger it afterwards, after you've, it's going to be like this. And you just click on it, and you can launch the video from there. Just quickly, I wanted to show you the answer keys are also embedded as well. So you can just click on this little key icon, and you can display all the answers like this. This is just a little bit about the class management. So this is the LMS. So you can create a class, and you can add students as well. I'm adding Timmy here. Then I get a list of my students. And for each class, I can see the homework that's been assigned. And if I click on the calendar, I can see, you know, for a certain period of time, all of the different homework assignments. And by clicking on a particular homework assignment, I can see the results. Unfortunately, my students didn't do their homework, very bad students, so I don't have any results. So in the program section, as I mentioned, for each of the different levels, you can see, if you're teaching Treehouse, you can see other books that you can use to supplement the Treehouse program. And you can see that for all the different levels. So if you want to get more information about ClassBox, you can scan this QR code with your phone. That's going to take you directly to the website. You can also go to classboxenglish.com on any browser, and you can enter that. And if you sign up for a membership, you can get 15 days of free trial, and everything is available. So you can try it out with your classes and see how you like it. And I'll turn it over to Ocha for a question and answer session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. John. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have any question, you can raise your hand. And we already have one participant here, Mr. John, who would like to ask to you. It's Miss Adinda.
Okay.
Yes, Miss Adinda, silahkan. Sudah saya unmute.
Hello.
Miss Adinda.
Yes, it's me.
Hi.
Hi. So I have to say that this is very interesting. And actually, I have an interesting question, which is, so I've been teaching for almost 5 years. And right now I will teach about 4 levels, which is not easy to do.
Right.
And then my question will be is it flexible as a teacher for kindergarten if we do a flipped classroom, the flip classroom? Because I see that if we keep doing online, the students will get bored. So is it flipped classroom working for the children or not?
I think the model that the Korean government came up with, you know, the 3 types of classes, where you have some content focused class and interactive class, and then task class. I think that's a really good model. You know, if that, I think, gives a lot of variety to students in terms of the type of learning they're doing. So for very young learners especially, you're right. If they have the same kinds of activities all the time, it's going to be very hard to keep their attention. So that's a good way to have some different variety types of classes. So you could get them to, for example, you could get them to watch a playbook, like a video of a book, and listen to the story. And then you could have a interactive class where you talk about the story. You know, what did you learn in the story, or who was the characters? You can ask them about the content. And then you can have an activity where you have some worksheet related to it, or, you know, talk about the concepts in the story or some of the vocabulary in the story, this kind of thing. I think that's a nice flow, which makes a lot of sense to me, I think.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Adinda. And we also have Miss Putri. Please, Miss Putri, I have already unmute you.
Hello.
Silakan, Miss Putri. Bisa di-unmute juga? Ya.
Okay, thank you. Hello, Mr. Jon. Thank you for the opportunity. Okay, my first question is, I'm very curious actually about what is the biggest challenge that the educators face in the South Korea now? Because now you are located in South Korea, right? I mean, why am I asking about this question? Because whether we are facing the same challenge or not, and if we do have facing the same situation, maybe we can learn something from that. That's my first question. Can I continue asking question, or let Mr. Jon answer first?
Why don't I answer that one first? My memory is not so good these days.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Please.
So I think the main challenge especially for younger learners, is that a lot of the students are not familiar with using technology, right? They're still very young learners. For them to get in front of a computer, to interact through a computer, that's going to be very challenging. So that's something that I've heard from teachers here. For elementary school, no problem. Most of them are better than their parents actually at using the computer. But for very young learners, kindergarten, grade 1, it's going to be a challenge. So I think the best option there is to enlist the parents. You know, if you get the parents involved with showing the students, you know, maybe for the first few months, the parents can be directly involved and can kind of walk the students through the process. I think they'll always need to be a little bit involved with those very young learners, but maybe later on, a few months later, they can set the computer up, they can put the child in front of the computer, and then they can walk away. But at the beginning, they're going to need to be directly involved in sort of mediating that experience.
All right. Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Did you have a second question?
Okay. Yes, I actually have got it. Okay, but so my second question actually like this. Before you already explained that there are 3 types of classes. Will it be effective if we apply those 3 in one time, or do you suggest to apply one by one, or which one is most effective, do you think?
What I've seen is the teachers are making a class schedule where they sort of rotate through those 3. They do content, interactive, task, content, interactive, task. They kind of arrange their classes like this. So there's this kind of flow.
Oh, okay. I got it. Okay, so thank you, Mr.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Miss Putri. And now we are going to have one more. Okay, Mr. Jon, one more.
Sure.
It's Mr. or Miss Saryanti.
I am Miss, not Mr.
Okay, I'm sorry, Miss. Silakan, Miss Saryanti.
Okay. Abid, can you hear me clearly there?
I can hear you, no problem.
Okay. I've been teaching online for 4 months, and I found it so hard to get my students' attention learning via Zoom.
To get their attention?
To get their attention, learning via video, via Zoom. They are not interested following the class. My question related to it, what do you think the best approaching way in order to make young learners enjoy online class?
I have 2 tips for you.
I'm not done yet, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I have modified the lesson by giving them cartoon and song videos related to the lesson. I also have displayed some images through the PowerPoint but still the class needs improvement. So what's the matter with my class that I presented?
How old are your students?
They are 3 years old.
3 years old.
Yeah.
I would give you two pieces of advice. One is for online learning, the energy level has to be much higher than in the classroom. You know, you have to smile a lot. You have to be very, very animated and smile a lot and give a lot of energy in your class. That's one piece of advice, especially for young learners. The second piece of advice is get them active, get them very active. You know, you can get them to stand up and do things as well. A lot of young learners, as I'm sure you know, they don't like to sit still. For them, sitting still and focusing on something for a long time is not easy. So, you know, maybe what you can do is break up your learning session like this. You know, you have some activity for 5 minutes, and then you get them up. Everybody stretch, everybody, you know, do some activity, or go and you can integrate it into the learning as well. You could say, go and find something in your house that is red. Go and find something like, or an object, go and find a hat, this kind of thing. So they're actually getting active and they're burning off some of their energy. So that's the second tip I would give you. And the third tip is use props in your class. I think just seeing like a talking head in a frame is very boring for students that are used to watching videos, you know? For them, you're a video, but you're not an interesting video. So I would say things like puppets, or if you have some funny hats or funny props, it has to be more like entertaining and engaging for them. I know it feels funny as a teacher to have to do that, but to get their attention when you're not physically present with them, that's what you have to do. I've seen some kindergarten classes online where they actually have a puppet and the teacher is talking to the puppet. So somewhat silly maybe, but I think it's effective.
How about the worksheet itself? Do you think is it good to give them a worksheet after the class is done?
Definitely. Not during class time, but as I mentioned before, you have these 3 types of classes, right? You have the content focused class where they're watching videos or they're reading books, things like this. You have the interactive type of class where you're talking with them. And then you also have the task-based class where you're giving them things like worksheets or you're getting them to do something. It could be on the computer, but for young learners, maybe it's better to do it on paper and then get the parents to send a photo of it to you. But I think that can be done, you know, separately, like outside of class time.
All right. Okay. I try to follow what have you been saying. Thank you for the advice.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
Yeah.
Thank
Okay,
you, Ms. Abby. Okay, so for the other participants, don't worry, we will have a Q&A session at the end of the session, but right now, Mr. Jon, you can continue the session.
Okay, thank you. So we talked about online learning and especially gearing it towards kindergarten kids, young learners. And we talked about ClassBox, our online learning platform. So this is our second product that we have issued within Korea for young learners, and it's called Big Box. And it's English online, it's an English learning application, and it's specially aimed at young learners. So it's perfect for kindergarten, grade 1, 2. So what it does is it personalizes the content so it suits the interests and the ability level of the students. And it creates a learning environment where we have gamified language learning. So I'll talk to you a little bit about how we do that. So the core of Big Box is content curation. That means that we have a huge library of content, videos that we've found all over the place, playbooks that we use. We have about 11,000 videos and playbooks altogether. And so what we do is when the student enters the app, we get them to give their year of birth, their gender, and then we get them to choose 3 or 4 things that they like. What are your favorite things? Do you like songs? Do you like toys? Do you like drawing? Do you like cars? Based on those 3 pieces of information, our algorithm chooses from the library the best content for that student. So what they're going to see is they're going to see like a carousel. Maybe some of you use Netflix or YouTube. You're used to seeing this kind of carousel of content. So we do the same thing, but with learning content. Also, after the students watch a video or they read a playbook, they are going to rate it. They're going to rate the difficulty level, and they're going to rate how interesting it was. And based on that, we're kind of always fine-tuning the algorithm, so the recommendations are going to get better and better for the child. So they're going to see this kind of feed of content. Some from YouTube, some from other content providers, some books that we have published, some other playbooks that are from other publishers. And they can kind of scroll through this and choose what they want to watch. And what we do is, as they're watching the video, we pull out words that are in the video, in the text of the book, of the playbook, or in the content in the video. So we choose the at-level words, the words that are at the level of the student from the video and the playbook, and we present them to the child as kind of word cards. So they watch the video, and then the next screen is the word cards that are from the video. And in order to claim the cards, in order to kind of collect the cards, the students have to say the word correctly. So what they do is they collect the cards and they level them up through playing various games. And altogether, if they collect all of the word cards, there's 3,000 altogether. And each of them has an illustration that shows the meaning. They can also click on a little button next to the word card and they can show a simple definition. And they also have audio as well embedded. After they collect enough word cards, the child is going to go to the quiz show. So this quiz show is called Word King. So they compete against, in 4 rounds, against some AI competitors. Eventually, we want to make this so that players can play against each other. But right now, we haven't implemented that yet. We're going to do that in the future. So they play these 4 rounds, and they have to kind of test their knowledge of the words. And they can earn points and kind of coins that they can use to customize their avatar. They choose a little avatar. You can see that the cute characters here along the bottom. They choose an avatar at the beginning of the game, and as they earn points, they can buy funny glasses, funny hair, funny costumes. So they're kind of using the points to decorate their avatar. After they've collected a few words, we select some expressions that include those words, so they can put them together into sentences. So learners are presented with expressions using the words they've learned. And they use the expressions to solve 3 puzzles and catch the word thief. There's sort of this little game, story in the game where the word thief is running around stealing words, and the students have to help to try to catch him and get the words back. So they have 3 different kinds of interactions or games. And some of them also involve using their voice. So they speak, and we use voice recognition to see whether they have said it correctly or not. Another element of Big Box is called Reading Oceans. Reading Oceans is a big library of 1,000 graded readers, graded ebook readers, and they have fiction and nonfiction on a wide range of high interest topics. And just like with the videos and the playbooks, students can select whatever they want to read. This is just for extensive reading. And the range of levels, it's all the way from phonics decodable, so for very young learners, all the way up to upper intermediate, so even into middle school and high school, they can be using this as well. They all have embedded audio, so the students can listen to the story and also read along. And they have activities afterwards, activities that focus on the vocabulary, the key expressions, and also the content comprehension. Big Box also includes a class booster section. So the class booster is a set of e-learning activities for our course books and skill books. So I showed you before on ClassBox that there was an LMS where teachers could send homework to their students. So this is where that happens, in the class booster section. So it's linked with ClassBox, and you can use it for flipped learning, for previewing the content, or also for reviewing. So you can get the students to do the activities before class, get ready for class in a kind of flipped learning situation. And then they're all ready for class, and you can have your interaction with them, and they've already done the learning on their own. So when you assign homework in ClassBox, they're going to get a quest notification in their app. It's going to come up like, your teacher has sent you a quest to do, and then they have to go and do these activities. When they finish the activities, they get coins that they can use in the game. So this is really kind of gamifying homework. It makes it much more interesting than just doing worksheets or doing some activities on paper. So this is from a higher level course book, but it gives you an idea of some of the interactions. So there's like a puzzle, matching puzzle called word match, where they match the word with the picture. There's an unscramble activity where they click on the words in the right order to make a sentence from the content. There's also, for higher levels, there's multiple choice questions based on the content, and there's summarizing activities where they click and drag the words into the right space in the summary. Of course, this is for much higher levels, but we also have the same kind of activities, but much simpler for the very young learners. So that's a little bit about Big Box, and this is the sort of the main screen showing all the elements. And I'll just give you a kind of video walkthrough of Big Box. So when students log in, this is the screen that they see. They can choose a video or a playbook. Everybody dance.
I'm sorry, Mr. John, we cannot hear the sound or the music of the video.
You can't hear?
No, we cannot. Maybe you can reshare.
You want me to sing it?
Okay, that's no problem.
Anyway, you can hear me talking, right?
That's true. Or maybe you can reshare the screen by checking the box of audio. There is a audio.
Share the audio. If I do that, then you can't hear me. Is that true?
Yes, we can still hear you and also the music.
Okay, I'll try that.
Yeah.
Just a moment.
Okay.
Share the screen with the computer sound.
Yes.
Yeah, you have to hear the song. It's very cute.
But I have no wings. I'm not a butterfly. I went to...
Okay, so they've watched the video.
If you enjoyed this video, give it a like or share it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to Little Angel. Bye.
Then they rate the video. And they see the word cards. These are words from the video. Pink. And they have to say the word to acquire the card.
She.
Just skip ahead a little bit. So the
You can get a great prize and become popular.
First round is an XO quiz. So all they have to do is
Sorry.
say whether the picture and the word match. That's all they have to do. and they get points for that.
Old.
This is the second round.
The first quiz. Round 2 is a theme quiz. Read the questions carefully and answer them.
Water.
So this is like a multiple choice question. Where they're matching, again, they're matching the word and the picture, but they have
Tree.
different options. And they get points for this as well.
Rain.
This is the third round where they see a picture that is slowly revealed and they have to choose the word that it matches with. Then the fourth round of the quiz, the last round, is the kind of bonus round where they earn lots of points, the speed quiz.
Finally, all that's left is the...
So this is a matching game where they have to match it very quickly and they get more points
Big.
the faster they match it.
C. What?
This is the fantasy forest part, the expression forest, where they go through these 3 sections to catch the word.
Let's give it a try. Are you ready? Do you know where the word thief is hiding? What do you need? What do you... I need some money.
Sorry, the audio on my computer was
What
not
do you
working well
need?
when I made this video.
I need some money.
Okay, so they go through these 3 stages of the expression forest. This is the reading ocean section, so they have a big library of readers, and they're done as playbooks, so the audio is all linked, and they automatically play the audio and progress through the story.
London Bridge. London Bridge is falling down.
So they go through the story.
Look, it's falling
and then
down.
They have some activities that they do afterwards. So there's word flash, word match. Very similar to the way they did on the class booster.
London.
Fall down.
Build.
They have an unscramble
London
activity.
Bridge is falling down.
And they can use their voice also. In this case, I was using my voice to trigger the words.
Sticks
So there's voice recognition built into the software as well. Then there's a repeat and listen and repeat section where they listen and then they click on the icon to speak, and it's voice recognition triggered. This is the class booster section where they're going to do their homework. So if you send them homework from ClassBox, this is where they're going to do the homework. And again, there's some activities like learning the vocabulary.
4. Lots. 2.
There's a matching game like this.
Mouse. Lots. 6. 2. 4. Mouse.
So if you want to actually try the app out yourself, you can scan this QR code with your phone, and that'll take you to either the App Store or the Google Play Store, and you can install it on your phone and try it out. So the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was Treehouse, which is our kindergarten course book. Just have some water first, sorry. So This is for very young learners, pre-kindergarten or kindergarten, and it's at the very, very low pre-A1 CFR level. And it uses what we call stealth learning. So stealth learning means that the learning content is kind of disguised in stories or games or songs. So it doesn't look like learning. It looks like you're just listening to a funny story or an entertaining story. And the kids are learning the vocabulary and learning the concepts through the story. And there's fun activities as each unit's story kind of progresses along. They do songs, they have sticker activities, they have puzzles that It has a student book, and the student book is a spiral bound, so it opens up nicely for the students to work on. There's an activity book, full color activity book, and there's a teacher's guide, and I'll show you each of those in turn. We also have lots of supplemental materials that are downloadable from our website. You can also get them through the ClassBox app website, like I showed you before. They include color worksheets that you can print out or printable flashcards as well. And those flashcards are all on PDF, so you can use those also online. So I'll just walk through one unit. So it opens up with the story introduction. Story introduction exposes the learners to the main character of the unit, the setting of the unit, and kind of the basic plot of the story. So in this case, Anna is the main character, and she's the coach of a robot basketball team. So the story is that you have to make the robots, work together to make the robots, teach the robots how to play, and then you have to play the game and try to win the trophy. Then in the second two-page spread, there's a song introducing the vocabulary and the main structure, and that also has a TPR dance that goes along with it. So those TPR dances are all available on YouTube, so you can easily stream them to your class, either online or in your classroom. And then there's a task to advance the story. In this case, there's a sticker activity where they have parts of the robot and they have to stick them on the page to make a robot. But there's other things like coloring activities or puzzles, things that are age appropriate, but that are still going to teach the learning content. Then we go through the same kind of cycle, but this time with a chant. So in this case, they're training the robots and they're learning a little chant to learn words like catch, run, bounce, jump, throw. And again, there's a TPR dance that goes with that. So you can watch the TPR dance and teach the students the vocabulary through TPR. And then there's another activity, another task where they're practicing that. So in this case, they have to trace the sort of the path through the basketball court. Then there's the fine motor skills practice. So in this case, this is very low level, so they're just learning how to trace a straight line, and they have to do that twice. And then we show them how that line is integrated into a letter, and they practice the sound of the letter. So you might notice there are robots, and there's the color red. So they're learning, there's audio that goes along with this activity, and they're learning the sound of the letter through listen and repeat. Then we have the numeracy page and sort of the summary page. And the summary page is done as a comic. So you can kind of summarize all the learning by talking about the comic and reading the comic together. Then the unit wraps up with the cross-curricular content. So in this case, this was all about basketball, and they're learning, oh, there's 5 players on a basketball team. And the value is all about playing fair. So they're linked to the main content of the unit. This is the teacher's guide. It has detailed aims and tips, and it has the times for each activity. And it also has extension activities and sample answers for all the activities. So sample teacher talk and expected responses as well. So it's very good if you're using Treehouse for the first time or if you're a beginning teacher. And one very nice thing about Treehouse is we have interactive material. So we have an interactive teaching CD. Originally, this was designed for in-class use, but it coincidentally or luckily, we can also use it through your Skype or through your interactive video software to teach online as well. So it has activities for students, including coloring, stickers and games, audio for the songs and chants, and animations for songs and chants as well. So there's these TPR videos and the audio is all built in. So it's very similar to ClassBox, but even more, it has more functionality. So I'll just show you a very quick video of the interactive CD, and then we'll have another question and answer session. So you can select the unit from the side panel, and you can show 2 pages up. You can play the audio. It's all animated as well.
Unit 5, Basketball Robots.
I'm not sure what Anna is doing. She's talking.
Hi everyone, it's me. They run robots and teach them how to play. It's going to be fun. Can you help us? Great! Look at the story box. Point at the pictures. Make the robots. Teach.
And I'll just show you the TPR dance. So this is built into the interactive CD as well. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do the
sing.
dance.
Build me.
Robots need a body just like you. Robots need a body just like you. That sounds good. I like yellow too.
So it has the audio built in, and it also has, you can pre-teach the vocabulary by clicking on the
arms,
the icons here.
Hands, legs.
And this is the TPR video.
Robots need a body just like you. Robots need a body just like you.
And it has for the sticker activities, you can demonstrate the activity for your students because it has interactive stickers as well.
Legs.
Color the ball orange.
And you can use the markup tools to do the coloring
Color
activities.
the robot yellow.
You can also reveal the answers. So if you click on Show Answer down at the bottom left. So all the activities are interactive and you can do them with your students. Like this. So I think it's a pretty useful tool for teaching online. It makes it pretty easy for the teacher and more engaging for the students as well. So with that, we come to the end of the presentation, and I will open it up to Ms. Oka to lead the question and answer session.
Yes, for sure. But before that, I would like to summarize or emphasize some things from your session, Mr. Jon. So thank you very much for your wonderful and informative session about the distance learning program from Kompas Publishing. Dan Bapak Ibu Guru yang kami hormati, sebelum masuk ke sesi tanya jawab kedua ya, saya akan sedikit merangkum pemaparan dari Mr. Jon. Kami sangat berharap sesi siang hari ini dapat memberikan insights maupun strategi baru bagi Bapak Ibu Guru dan bisa menjadi jawaban untuk pengajaran bahasa Inggris yang interaktif dan tentunya menyenangkan bagi siswa khususnya di jenjang taman kanak-kanak serta pendidikan anak usia dini. Dan Bapak Ibu, program Treehouse ini merupakan program fully digital yang terdiri dari interaktif e-book dan juga online practice yang mengacu pada Common European Framework of Reference serta dilengkapi dengan beragam permainan edukatif bagi anak usia dini yang pastinya sangat sesuai untuk menemani anak didik Anda dalam menjalani program pembelajaran jarak jauh. Dan selain itu dilengkapi juga dengan fitur Learning Management System, guru dapat dengan mudah nih terkoneksi dengan para siswa dalam memberikan tugas maupun latihan tambahan, dan pastinya akan sangat terbantu ya untuk secara otomatis memonitor progres dan perkembangan setiap siswa dalam proses pembelajaran jarak jauh ini. Dan Bapak Ibu, untuk informasi lebih lanjut, silakan menghubungi Education Consultant Mentari Group atau menghubungi nomor WhatsApp kami di 0856 9785 6420. Saya ulangi, 0856 9785 6420, atau bisa Bapak Ibu lihat di layar ya, bisa melalui email maupun nomor WhatsApp kami. Kami akan senang hati merespon Bapak Ibu guru. Baik, bisa dicatat terlebih dahulu untuk email dan nomor teleponnya. Dan saat ini Bapak Ibu, kami akan membuka sesi question and answer ya untuk yang kedua ya. Silakan apabila Bapak Ibu memiliki pertanyaan atau ingin menyampaikan ide mengenai sesi dari Mr. Jon, bisa menggunakan fitur raise hand. Okay, we already have some participants here, Mr. Jon. The first one is Miss Siti Rohmah. Silakan, Miss Siti Rohmah.
Hello.
Baik.
There.
Silakan, Miss.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you clearly, yes, thank you.
Okay, right. Thank you very much for the interesting elaboration about the big box. I guess it's quite interesting learning platform. Although my question won't be about big box, is it okay?
No problem, you can ask about anything.
Right, concerning about the online learning for the young learners. Well, Mr. Jon, in Indonesia, we're going to open the new school year in July 13th. And then the big challenge is the ideas and strategies on how to build the emotional bonding between the teachers and the new students. Would you kindly share some ideas on strategies on that?
I think that is going to be a big challenge for sure. I mean, in the classroom, you have, face-to-face time with your students, and you can talk to them directly. I think there's no reason why you couldn't do that, in an online environment as well. Like, I think, within your first few weeks of teaching, why don't you have some one-on-one online sessions with each individual student, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes to say hello and to say, I'm here and I'm your teacher and you can ask me any questions. I think that is gonna, first of all, it's going to kind of acclimatize them to the online environment. And also it's gonna get them to know you a little bit better, more personally. If the whole class is interacting with you at the same time, maybe the students are going to feel a little bit lost or a little bit overlooked. So if you have time, within the first few weeks to meet with each student just for 5 or 10 minutes, I think that would be very effective.
Yeah, probably we can do it through like WhatsApp video call or Zoom, just like what we've been doing now, yeah?
Sure, and I think a lot of the effort will have to be on the teacher's side to kind of initiate communication regularly, and I think for young learners, written communication is not going to be very emotionally engaging, they can't read, and so somebody has to read to them, right?
Yeah.
But maybe you can send audio. Audio is going to be much better, don't you think? Like if you have a message to send to them, sending an audio message will be more engaging than sending a text message or an email.
Yeah.
I wish I had all the answers for you. I only have suggestions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for the suggestions. I guess those are good ideas and we could implement in our school. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you, Miss Siti. Okay.
Yes, you're very welcome.
Now we also have Miss Lulu. Miss Lulu, silakan, sudah saya unmute ya.
Hi, Miss Lulu.
Miss Lulu.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Yes, Miss.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hi.
Okay, thank you. I want to ask you, Sir John, how to home learning using objects at home and show it the activities so children can explore.
So I didn't hear the last word. So children can
Explore.
Explore.
Yes.
Explore.
How to use learning using the objects so students can explore inside their house. Is that what you mean, Miss Lulu?
Yes.
So, somebody is very active in the background, it sounds like. I would say, you know, a lot of teachers who are just starting with online learning, they think that the student has to be fixed to the computer the whole time. But as I was saying before, for very young learners to do that, to sit down in front of a computer for half an hour or 45 minutes or 1 hour, it's going to be very, very challenging. They're just not used to sitting down for that long. So I think it's a very good idea to get the students to get up, to go find things in their house. You know, for example, you could ask them to do something or to find something in their house, a certain color thing or a certain shape or a certain item. You know, go to your bedroom and find a sock. Go to your bedroom and find something blue. Find your favorite toy. These kinds of things. So getting them to find things in their environment is going to do two things. It's going to get them up and active, and it's going to give them a little break from sitting down. Does that help you?
Miss Lulu? Hello, Miss Lulu?
Your microphone is muted, Miss Lulu.
Please unmute first, Miss Lulu. Miss Lulu, please unmute your microphone, please.
Yes. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I understand, and I'm interested in your program, Mr. John. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Good
luck with your teaching.
Thank you so much, Miss Lulu. And we also have Miss Iren Prabandaru. So please, Miss Iren.
Hello, Miss Iren.
Hello, Mr. John.
Hi.
There's no light, good light in here, so my face is black.
It's okay.
So it's about teaching phonics in preschooler. I just really confused when since I am an English teacher at my kindergarten, and then I being so struggle to teaching phonics because there is no base how to teaching and how to pronounce phonics from the age preschooler from 3 years old. And then when but there's a book for the preschooler for the phonics. So how to teach the phonics when maybe after this COVID is over, and when I go back to school and I have to teach the phonics, and how is the strategy to teach it? Because I don't have any, what is it? Just like, what is English is of pelatihan? I just
Training, Miss Iren?
Yes, a training for phonics for new age. I mean, golden age, which is like 3 years old until kindergarten B, like that. That's my first question.
If you don't have training in phonics, I would strongly recommend that you get a good program. We have one. Compass has one called Jungle Phonics, and it starts from alphabet awareness, and then it progresses to short vowel sounds and long vowel sounds and blends. So it's all, it's very nicely organized and it goes very systematically, and there's lots of repetition through the program. So I would recommend, if you don't have training in teaching phonics, you should get a good program.
Is there any recommendation from YouTube that I can follow or that I can learn from? Maybe
from YouTube.
Yes. In Indonesia, there is no training so much in phonics, only for teaching regularly. There's no phonics for specialization of that training.
I don't have any off the top of my head, unfortunately.
Okay.
Maybe Mentari can share my email with you, and if you want to send me an email, I can answer your question through email.
All right. Can I have the second question?
Yes, you can also use one other book that I would recommend is Sounds Great. Sounds Great is very good for phonics as well.
Okay.
Sounds Great and Jungle Phonics.
Sounds Great and Jungle
Phonics.
Jungle Phonics. Okay. My second question is, my school have online teaching and online teaching learning. I start from 13th of July.
Mm-hmm.
And then we didn't recommend to use any audio or video, just like what's that? A recorded video, just like you said before. And we have to use it live, just like in Zoom or video call in WhatsApp. And is it okay if we didn't send them the video recorded or audio recorded?
You mean your school has asked you to look at it live with them?
Yes, it's every day. From Monday to Thursday, we have to teach them online and only using video call WhatsApp group.
Okay.
And then with Zoom at the end of the week. And there is no recommendation for my principal. My principal didn't recommend me or the other teacher to send the parents the recorded audio or recorded video for teaching learning things. It's like that. It's like activity.
Unfortunately, you need to follow the rules, right?
Yeah, yeah. I already suggested that how if we have something to see in the link of YouTube or the recorded audio or video, but it's the parents said that they really need the teacher to show their face and show their self in
Sure.
front of their children to teach.
It's important.
Yeah.
But you know, besides class time, you can also give them material to do outside of class time, like homework, right?
Mm-hmm.
You should talk to your principal about sharing the videos as homework, to watch the videos for homework.
Okay, so
then they can watch the video.
That's important.
I think it's very important to preview the
Okay.
videos. Those, by the way, those two titles that I mentioned, Jungle Phonics and Sounds Great, those are available through ASTA. You can purchase those through ASTA.
Okay. Thank you, Mister.
You're very
It's
welcome.
very helpful.
Thank you, Miss Iren.
Good luck with your teaching.
Yeah, it's okay.
And we also have Miss Desianti Toba. Silakan, Miss Desianti.
Okay, just call me Miss Desi.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi there.
Good afternoon, Mr. John.
Hi.
Okay, actually, I am the principal and also the English teacher. Yeah.
Different
actually,
hats. You wear different hats.
Yeah, the different hats, of course. I just want to share. Maybe, actually, I want to ask suggestion from you. Yeah. It seems very desperate for me to teach English as a second language in Cirebon. Actually, our school is not using English as a main language. Yeah, it's just a subject. So we are using ASTA book. Okay. Yeah, we did video. My teachers and also I am also becoming a YouTuber. Yeah.
Right.
we are making.
We're all becoming famous.
Yeah, we are becoming famous. Yeah, we are making video and we post it on our YouTube channel. Then we share it to our parents actually, because most of my students doesn't have their own gadget. Yeah, they're still sharing with their parents. Yeah, because as information, my students not becoming from high economic, but we are from lower to high.
Sure.
Okay, so this is good. It seems like ministry for us. Okay, so this is Christian school, and then the problem is when the parents think that what for we are learning English for kindergarten student.
Oh, they think it's too early.
Yeah, because they think it's too early, and sometimes for them it's hard to accompany their children because we need parents supervise when they are learning.
It's a problem in Korea also. Sometimes both parents are working and nobody is available to supervise the learning. Usually who is supposed to do it? The grandmother or?
The problem is the parents doesn't have time to accompany their children. So could you please give me a suggestion how to talk to the parents? Actually, the parents can talk to me directly, send their message directly to me. How to encourage the parents? Come on, please help your children to learn English. Actually, I made a video with puppet, so I am become a crazy woman. Yeah.
I think that English is one of the essential subjects these days. One of the essential subjects these days to improve your economic situation. So if they want to get a better education, enter a better school, get good jobs, this is really essential for them to speak English. At least in Korea, I don't know exactly the situation in Indonesia, but it's definitely an essential subject here. So I would stress to them, the importance of that for improving their children's lives in the future. And the research that I have seen is that the earlier that children start, the more progress they're able to make, in terms of their learning. As an educator, that when their brains are young, the language learning, for some reason, the language learning happens more freely, much more actively. Maybe because they don't have the inhibition, they're not inhibited, so they just say things, they don't worry about making mistakes. So I would say those are two really key points to make to your parents, is that it's essential for their children's economic future and their educational future, and also starting younger is proven to be more effective.
But well, actually, in early childhood curriculum in Indonesia, it's really contradictory when but they suggest to learn their mother tongue as the first language. So maybe we are able to teach another foreign language. It's around elementary. Yeah, that's the curriculum that I know. Yeah.
In Korea also they have this.
That's why it's a contradictory.
They go back and forth actually. For a few years they say starting grade 4 first, and then they say starting kindergarten, starting grade 4. They can't make up their mind. So
yeah, so that's why it's really hard to talk to the parents to give their understanding. Okay, that's good. Maybe the economic, maybe That's
Yeah.
the enforcement for the parents. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome,
Sir John.
I hope you have a good semester.
I hope so also. I hope so also. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, and Mr. John, we also have a question here from YouTube. So some participants are joining us by live streaming.
Sure.
It's from Miss Dina Rosselli. She is asking how teacher to monitor if the children doing their task by themselves. Maybe a little help from their parents or not fully parents doing the task. So how to make sure that it's not their parents doing the task?
This is a constant problem with me too in my teaching. Sometimes my students hand in their homework and it's perfect. So I wonder, you know, I think the biggest thing is just enforcing to students, you know, one thing you can do right at the beginning of the term is send out a notice to your teachers and say, not your teachers, to the parents of your students and say, it's important for your children to do their homework themselves. That's how they're gonna learn, you know? Mm-hmm. If you do the homework for them, why should I even give them homework? It's not for you to learn English, it's for the children to learn English. So I think sending out a little note at the beginning of term can kind of make them aware of that you know what they're doing. So
okay, thank you so much, Mr. John.
No problem.
And also we have from Miss Sari. Silakan Miss Sari, sudah di-unmute.
Hello.
Miss Sari?
Miss Sari? Calling Miss Sari.
Hello there. Hello there.
Hi.
Yeah, this is the second question I tried to give you before I have asked you a question, sir.
No problem.
Hello? Yeah. All I want to ask here is related to the entertaining game that you have just shown us. I think it's really good if we try to apply the games to the students. Yeah, as long as the what is it? The games are still connecting with the lesson.
Definitely,
right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So related to it, the things that I want to ask here, I am wondering how could we get some links for the interactive games that you have shown us? Can all the links be given for free?
You mean for Big Box?
The online games that you have shown us. It's about robot. What is it? Robot.
You can if you look at the video, if you look back at the video of this stream, you can see the QR code. The QR code, you can scan that with your phone, or you can go to classboxenglish.com.
Classboxenglish.com.
Yes. And you can get a 15-day trial for that.
Or 15-day trial.
Yeah, you can get a 15-day free trial.
Okay, I got the text from the chat box. Thank you very much for the information. Yeah.
You're welcome.
I like those games.
You can. I should just mention, you know, you can use those for in class as well. You can use them with your students in class to play together. Yeah. They don't have to be only individual.
Oh, together?
Yeah, sure. You can use them for competitive games. I've done that before. With the word match game, you can get the students to play it competitively.
Okay.
They enjoy that.
Thank you. That's really helpful. That's really helpful.
Thank you, Ms. Sari. And also we have from Ms. Tiwi Ismartono. Silakan.
Hello, sir.
Hi.
Okay, I have a question here. So in a classroom, usually we have students with different pace, right, in learning.
Right.
We have the slow learner, right? We have the fast learner as well. And also, in my case, I have some special needs students. So my questions is, how do I support this kind of diversity, and also how to support the students with emotional and behavioral disorders in an online learning environment?
Wow, you gave me the most challenging question. That is a big challenge. I mean, it's, as you know, you've been teaching. How many years have you been teaching?
Probably 10 years.
10 years. I mean,
yeah.
you know, I'm sure that even in the traditional classroom, handling that kind of the different levels, the stratification of learning, and also handling students with emotional needs or special needs, that's really challenging, even in the traditional classroom. So
yes.
I think you could think like online learning could appeal to some kinds of learners, right? Like, for example, learners that can learn really quickly. If you do this, if you follow this kind of flow, like this, content focused class and the interactive class and the task class, if you follow that, students that are really fast learners, they can take just less time to do their tasks, right? They can watch the video once and they understand it. When you give them a task, they can do it once quickly and they can get it. They can finish it quickly. But students that require more time, that having those different kinds of classes gives them more flexibility, right? They can take longer. They can watch the video several times to understand it. When you give them a task, you can, they can take their time. They can get extra help from their parents, hopefully. So that's one advantage of online learning, right? You have these different types of classes where there's some kind of self-pacing involved. Another point that I would make is you could have office hours as well. That's one thing that some teachers do, right? Like if you have office hours, you just say, I'm going to be available to answer your questions at 5:30 in the afternoon. If you want to drop in and see me, just here's the Zoom link.
Yeah. Okay, so it's better for the teacher to inform the parents and also the students that actually they can reach us anytime during working hours, right?
I wouldn't say anytime. That's dangerous. but you could
hours.
You could have some office hours. Some office hours that are open. 30 minutes once or twice a week. I think that's probably enough. Then you can be available to answer questions or to give extra help.
I see.
That's,
okay.
Again, I'm sorry I don't have all the answers, but I have some suggestions for you.
Yeah, thank you.
You're
it's
welcome.
Helping. It means to me. Thank you so much, sir.
You're very welcome.
Ms. Dewi and Mr. John. Now we have Miss Monami.
Yeah, hi.
Hi, Monami.
Hi, Mr. John.
Hi.
Yeah, our school use Rainbow Book as one of supporting books for English subject.
I'm sorry, Miss Monami. Could you please turn on the camera, please?
Oh, okay.
So we can see each other's faces. Yes. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Miss.
Hi, Monami.
Hi, Mr. John. So our school has Rainbow Book as one of supporting books for English subject.
Okay.
And I think Rainbow Book is one of Mentari, if I was not wrong.
Yes, Miss.
So I have questions. We use this book for kindergarten A and B, or maybe 1 and 2. My first question, what is your suggestion or recommendation how to explain to the children the content or theory written in the book, besides using the teacher's guidebook? And then my second question, is there any video or maybe link or maybe soft copy related to this rainbow book to support online teaching for our teachers? That's all my question.
I think Mentari staff might be able to answer better than me.
Okay.
Okay, maybe Mr. Jon, you could also give some strategies about how to deliver the content through the content written on the book, maybe how to do it in the online learning.
Okay, so usually there's some, with the rainbow books, you have just the physical books. Is that what you're using with the students?
At the moment, yes, only physical book.
So if the teacher can have you could either take photos of the pages and use that on the screen, as you know, basically all you have to do is be able to share something on the screen so that you can all look at it and talk about it, right? So in the absence of a soft copy, maybe that's not available with this book, but you could take photos of the pages and use that on the screen. Then they can all have something to refer to. Alternatively, you can just have them looking at their book, right? Like you can have them look at your book, and as long as the teacher is talking about the page that they're looking at, presumably they can find things on the page. But it is better for online teaching, for interactive classroom, if there's something on the screen that all of the teachers are looking at.
Okay.
A photo could work.
Oh, a photo, yeah. Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry that doesn't help a lot, but
no. A photo is a very good suggestion for us, especially when we start teaching online in this kind of situation. Yeah.
Okay.
Every kind of suggestion is good for us. Thank you, Mr. Jon.
You're welcome. Maybe one other suggestion I have is if you have an easel, like
yes,
like this kind of thing, you know. I don't know if you can see that, but you can't see it. Like this. If you have an easel and you set it up in front of a webcam, if you have a detachable webcam and you set it up in front of the webcam, you could also stream the video of the book, and the teacher could be flipping through the book, and there can be a video feed of that at the same time.
Okay. We'll try that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Manami. And Mr. Jon, this is the last question.
Okay.
We have from Ms. Rita from Methodist Tanjung Morawaya. And this is the question. She has two questions, Mr. Jon. The first one is how to measure the children's skill through online teaching. That's the first one, Mr. Jon. How do we do the measurement, the effective way? And the second,
assessment?
Yes, the assessment. And also the second one, what aspect is the important thing during the assessment?
I think if you're talking about having actual tests, you know, testing them, the best way would be to have a worksheet.
Okay.
But do the worksheet in front of the video camera.
Oh, I see.
Remember we said that sometimes the teachers, that's not the teachers, the parents are doing the worksheets for the students. But if you have an assessment, they're even more likely to do that, I'm sure. So one way I've seen is, this is actually what Google does. Google has a test that they give to people who sell their products. And they do testing, but they get the candidates to do it in front of the video camera so they can see if there's any cheating going on or anything like that. So having an actual paper test, but get the students to do it in front of the video camera, that could be one solution.
And also, which aspects is the most important thing during the assessment?
Which aspect? You mean which, like, skill, language skill? Or?
Yes, of course. Because in our, for instance, for online teaching, maybe there are some boundaries we have here for online learning. Maybe we can consider to emphasize one skills or anything else, Mr. Jon?
I think The only limitation is the teacher's creativity.
Mm-hmm.
Like you could have a listening assessment, and you could easily play an audio track for the students over the video conferencing and get them to do questions. You could have them do on a worksheet. You could have them do writing or matching activities,
mm-hmm.
or reading. There could be reading. So
mm-hmm.
I think I can't think of anything that you couldn't assess with this kind of method.
Okay.
So
we can. Mm-hmm.
There's the only limitation, as I say, is the teacher's kind of creativity.
Okay. So we need to be more creative, yeah, to assess our children and our students, to assess the 4 language skills, Mr. Jon.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Jon. That would be
welcome.
our last question for today's session. And don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, if you have any other question you are still want to ask Mr. Jon about this session, you can also contact us through info@mentarigroups.com. Please, Mr. Ludi, could you please help me to show on the screen? Yes, this is the email and also the WhatsApp number 0856-9785-6420. Thank you very much, Mr. Jon, for your session.
You're very welcome.
It is a wonderful one. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, before we end this session, I would like to tell you about the information about e-certificate. So please kindly spend 3 minutes to fill in our feedback online form. The link and the QR code are displayed on the screen, and this is very important. Please access the online form and make sure to fill it in carefully, especially on your full name and active email address. This data will be used for your e-certificate. You will have your certificate delivered to your email right away after you submit the feedback form. Baik Bapak Ibu, silahkan untuk mengisi umpan balik online yang tautannya ada di layar Anda maupun di WhatsApp group dan juga di chat room ya. Dan mohon diperhatikan dalam penulisan nama lengkapnya Bapak Ibu, penulisan nama lengkap juga kapitalnya, karena data ini akan digunakan untuk sertifikat elektronik. Dan sertifikat elektronik akan langsung terkirim ke email Bapak Ibu setelah Bapak Ibu submit feedback form online ini. Baik, silahkan bisa diisi sekarang juga Bapak Ibu. Kami akan berikan waktu. Silahkan. Apabila ada kendala ataupun pertanyaan, bisa langsung menggunakan raise hand ataupun chat melalui room ya.